Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're undertaking what I like to call a bit of digital archaeology. We're going to take a single web page scrape, literally just one snapshot of a screen, and use it to reverse engineer an absolute powerhouse of a digital economy that's just hiding in plain sight. Okay, let's dive into this, because what looks like just another cartoon upload at first glance actually reveals a highly sophisticated, multi-million view ecosystem driven by deep cultural resonance and, honestly, pure algorithmic mastery.
So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. First, the viral anchor video. Second, we'll go inside the Hardtoons channel. Third, decoding the recommended sidebar. Fourth, dominant themes and tropes. And finally, number 5, the animation ecosystem. We are going to zoom way out from one single web page to uncover a giant algorithmic network.
All right, part 1, the viral anchor video. Let's start right at the scene of the investigation with our anchor upload.
Now take a second to process this number. Over 4 million views. And we aren't talking about total viewership over years and years. This is the view count for one single animated upload titled Scary Indian High School Episode 5 Labors Exposed in just its first 2 weeks. Over 4 million views in 14 days. I mean, for context here, there are primetime television networks that would do absolutely anything to get that kind of concentrated, rapid viewership on a single broadcast.
And you know, it's not just passive viewing either. This upload pulled in a massive 162,000 likes right from its upload date on July 1, 2026. This level of engagement totally validates the immense scale of this anchor content. It basically tells us that the audience isn't just clicking, watching for 5 seconds, and leaving. No, they are actively endorsing the content, pushing it further and further into the algorithm's favor. This is our hook. But to really understand how it got here, we've got to look at who actually made it.
Which brings us to part 2, inside the Hardtoons channel. Let's transition from this single piece of content to the actual creator behind it.
4.68 million subscribers. That is the dedicated audience base Hardtoons has managed to amass. This firmly establishes them, not as some fleeting viral, one-hit wonder, but as a major established player in this space. I mean, when you have an audience nearing 5 million subscribers, you aren't really just a creator anymore. You're a full-blown broadcasting entity.
Now, what's really interesting to note here is what we find buried deep in the video's description box. It literally says, Hardtoons is hiring, apply now, and is accompanied by a professional business inquiry email and links to secondary shorts channels like How's Hardy. This proves this isn't just a hobbyist channel run from someone's bedroom on a Saturday afternoon. Actually, scratch that. It's a functioning, expanding studio business. They're scaling up, they're bringing on employees, and they're managing an entire portfolio of channels.
All right, part 3. Decoding the recommended sidebar. To truly understand this space, we need to zoom out from the creator and look at the algorithms surrounding recommendations.
I want you to really think about this question. What does the sidebar actually tell us about who is watching? You see, the YouTube recommendation algorithm is like a highly tuned mirror. It doesn't just throw random videos at you. It shows exactly what the current viewer is statistically most likely to click on next, based on literally millions of data points. By profiling the sidebar, we can effectively profile the audience. And this brilliantly illustrates just how massive the surrounding neighborhood of content really is. We are looking at jaw-dropping numbers popping up in the recommended sidebar. You've got a video titled Teenage Problems in Indian Parents sitting at 36 million views. Indian Ghost Stories at 30 million views. Every Indian horror movie and shows at 29 million. And get this, these aren't even from Hardtoons. Many of these heavy hitters belong to a completely different channel called Not Your Type, which shows up repeatedly in the recommendations. It just goes to show that our anchor video is part of a much larger, highly interconnected web of incredibly popular content.
Moving on to part 4, dominant themes and tropes. To really grasp the mechanics of this ecosystem, we've got to look at the recurring patterns in all this sidebar data.
So, the crucial point is, creators in this space aren't just guessing what's going to work, they are actively hacking the algorithm with highly relatable, culturally specific tropes. If we look directly at the sidebar data, the content heavily indexes into 3 very distinct buckets: school and exams, horror and ghosts, and social or family commentary. Let's break these down to see exactly why they are so wildly effective.
First up, look at the school and exams bucket. We've got multiple episodes of Scary Indian High School, brand new series like Garib College, and super relatable compilation titles like Types of Students During Indian Exams. The repetition of words like high school, college, and exams is 100% intentional. It targets a massive, highly specific student demographic in India, tapping directly into their daily environments, their personal stresses, and their shared academic experiences.
Then we have the horror and ghosts category, which is heavily championed by channels like Beham Toon and Not Your Type. Notice the deliberate blending happening here. It's not just generic horror, right? It's every Indian horror stories. They're taking a globally popular genre, animation and horror, and injecting it with localized, culturally specific folklore and identity. And hey, the results kind of speak for themselves. We're talking view counts consistently hitting that 20 to 30 million mark on a single upload. Finally, we've got the social and family commentary bucket. These titles frequently utilize highly targeted keywords like middle class, parents, teenage, and fights and drama. These titles are basically engineered from the ground up to instantly connect with the everyday struggles, the family dynamics, and the coming-of-age experiences of young Indian adults. It's essentially observational comedy and drama, animated perfectly for a generation that is just looking to see their own lives reflected back at them on the screen.
Part 5. The animation ecosystem. Let's move to and see how this builds into our final macro view.
When you synthesize all of this data from just one single web page, the core takeaway of this explainer becomes incredibly, undeniably clear. The metadata, the titles, the millions upon millions of likes, and those highly curated sidebars reveal a completely self-sustaining digital economy. This is a networked, multi-million view industry operating totally in plain sight, and it's built entirely around animating the Indian teenage and young adult experience. These channels cross-pollinate, they share audiences, and they constantly feed the exact same algorithmic engine.
Which ultimately leaves us with one final, vital question to ponder. When an algorithmic ecosystem reaches this level of scale, serving up tens of millions of views on highly specific tropes about exams, parents, and daily life, does it merely reflect the cultural experiences of Indian youth? Or, at this magnitude, is it actively shaping them? It's a fascinating dynamic to consider, isn't it? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.